Hey everyone, it's Tat Comics. I am shooting a video today to show support for a channel that's always shown support to my channel since day one, since I joined YouTube, and I've been subbed to him since day one. Pretty much. I mean, it did take me too long to where I had a few subs that knew of my brother's channel, and then they came over and started subbing me up, and I started subbing them back, and I've just been a fan of those channels for a long time. And the YouTuber I'm talking about is Howlermouse. Sorry, just gotta take a quick drink. But Howlermouse is putting on a contest, and what he wants you to do is he wants you to show 5 books and tell a story behind them, because he likes to talk about like how he acquired the book, and his stories about how he got these books. I love to hear them. It's because I get to learn a little bit more about him, and also it's cool to see like he still has those books, that he talks about. And so I wanted to do this video to show him support. He's just one of those channels I love to tune in and watch, especially with his live streams. I don't do the Google Hangouts as much, but I used to go in there. Every once in a while Howlermouse would be in there, we just chat. It was great. He's such a great guy, great personality, big like knowledge of writers and stories. I mean, he could tell a story really good. It's like I think of like people always say, oh, they would love to hear like Morgan Freeman read them a story, or Samuel L. Jackson. No, me, Howlermouse, man. Guy's got a way with expressing how he feels about the story, and he tells the stories really well too. It's almost like if he wrote the story. That's how I see it. But I am going to show some books, and he said show 5 books, and just tell stories about them. He says he doesn't want to really hear about the value of the book or how much it's worth now, and that's not what I'm going to do with these ones. I do have some slabs, but I'm not showing them because of the grade. I'm not showing them because of how much I think they're worth. No, I'm showing them because I have a story behind them, and most of these stories you've heard before, but these books are the ones that really mean a lot to me. But I do have something that's not a book that I'll show now. It's not a book, but this thing means more to me than my collection, and more to me than these books. Because what I did here, and I shot a video for it a while back too, was I was drawing a picture of Spider-Man, and I was talking about how I want to get another artist to draw another character on there, so it'd be like a one-time piece. And first video I didn't really say who I was gonna have do this, and then I finally just I couldn't hold in the silence anymore, and I said I wanted to get Randy Emerlin to do this, because since day one Randy was the first person I ever met at a con that's been in the business, and he's just been so great to me, great to my brother. He's been just fantastic with my boys. He talks to my boys when they're there, and gets them to open up and start talking about things, which is just great. This is the piece that I did, and I drew the Spider-Man. He did the Carnage for me, and this piece I'm going to keep this forever, and I just hope that someday my kids will do the same, so they can always look at this and remember that their dad did this. I still have not yet signed this piece. But I did the Spider-Man, and Randy did the Carnage. Now the story behind this, I know this isn't a book, but I want to tell the story behind it, just in case if you're new to my channel you didn't know about it, was that, like I said, I drew that Spider-Man, and I finally opened up about who I wanted to draw on there. Now I did not know what Randy was going to draw on there, but I knew whatever it was, it was going to blow me away, and it did. I was able to take it to the con, and I asked him first, I showed him the picture, and he's like, oh, I'd love to do this, So I gave him the picture, and then the next time I saw him at a con, he didn't have it on him, and he forgot it at home, and he apologized tremendously to me. And I said, no, it's okay. I said, I know it's in good hands, And then that same con, it was cool because he was going to be doing something later on a panel, and he was asking like if I was going to be there the following day, and if I can film it for him, And I said, well, I'm not going to be here, but my brother will, So it was cool. My brother AG filmed the panel that he was on when he was drawing, and Danny Fingeroth was talking. So my brother filmed that for him. It was so cool. And my brother gave him my number and everything, and then I got a text from him not too long after that. He says, hey, the picture is done, I'll just mail it out to you. And so that's what he did. And like I said, I got this beautiful picture, one-time thing. It's, I would have never thought in a million years that I would be able to get another artist to draw on something that I did. And Randy was more than willing to do it. He was like, yeah, not a problem, and it was great. And when I got that, I was so stoked. And now I have a really good friendship with Randy. I was building one with him, but this right here just kind of sealed that, because I text him every once in a while, and I want to bug the man, just to see how he's doing, so. And sad to say he's not going to be at this Wizard World Portland Comic Con. That's okay. I told him, I said, hey, hope I'll see you at the next one, because I just like to go up and talk to him, see how he's doing. But the reason why I chose this book as one of my favorite books, because this is the first book that I ever had Randy sign. Because the first time I met him, I didn't have any books. The second time I met him, I took him this one, and it was so cool because he saw this book. It was dated back in 2014. But when he saw this book, he said, hey, I just have to rub right here on the arm to get it to where when I write my signature, it's going to stick, so it doesn't rub off. And I was like, cool, I never would have thought of that, right? So, he took the time, he rubbed it there for a while. I thought he was playing with my book, But he went ahead and then he signed it, and this was the first book of many books, but this was the very first book I ever had Randy sign. Because then I also brought him back some G.I. Joes and stuff, but this was the first one I had him sign. This was the one I was like, I wanted him to do it, and he did it, and it's been bliss ever since. I've gotten many books by Randy, but I love this book. This one is the very first one, so if I were to sell the other ones that I have of this copy, it'd be those and not this one. This one means a lot to me, This book here, the reason why I picked this Wolverine book, it's Wolverine #1. It is a Frank Miller, art on the front. The reason why I picked this book was because Undisputed Frost and I, we met up at it's called Soft Squatch, like comic book swap or something like that. But it's basically where some vendors and then just some regular Joes that have a bunch of books that want to sell their stuff, they go in this little Eagles Lodge or something like that, and they sell their books, and they sell them at a pretty good price. Well, Frost got there before me, and he kind of was telling me, giving me clues on where the books were that I wanted to look for. He just let me know what tables were at. So when I got there, I just he pointed them out. Boom! I was able to just start searching. It was so great. Frost was hooking me up that way. Then we come across this table where Frost was telling me he found some good books. So I found some Spider-Man, and he pulls this one out. And he knows I've been wanting this book for a long time, but the price was just always So the guy had this at a really good price, and I was able to talk him down to a better price because I was complaining about a little spine tick. Okay, it's a minuscule spine tick. It's right there. Okay, so I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of back and forth, just thinking, I don't want to pay for that book for that price. And I think Frost had about enough of it, and he's like, dude, you can't go home without having that book and wearing the shirt, because I have the shirt of this cover, So Frost just slapped down some money and said, okay, no, all you owe is $1, dude. Just hush your mouth, give the man $1, it's your book. I'm like, Frost, are you kidding me? He says, no. He says, I'm serious, man. Just give him $1, you're good. So for Frost, Undisputed Frost, he could have used that money for anything else. He could have put gas in his car. He could have went and got himself some lunch if he wanted to, which I still owe him a lunch, man. That's why I love this book, because it reminds me I still owe him a lunch. But on a serious note, just for him to throw down that money like he did, and he wanted to make sure I went home with this book. This book means a lot to me, more than what it did before. Because before I just wanted it because it's Wolverine #1. Now it means more to me because, a good friend, a guy that's only known me as long as I've been on YouTube and meet me for, I think it was possibly the second time he's ever met me, or maybe the third time. Either way, that he would do that for me. And he didn't have to. He just did. He's like, dude, you got to go home with that book. So this book means a lot to me, and I really cherish Frost's friendship. I really do, because, he's always looking out for me, and I try to do the same for him, So this book right here means a lot to me. Now, hopefully I won't tell the story for too long on this one. But yeah, my Hulk 181. Now, the reason why I'm showing this is because, when I started getting back into comic books, I never knew really what the first appearances of Wolverine was, but I knew I always wanted to have his first appearance. So, getting to talk to my brother, because my brother was into collecting, long before I got back into it. And he started telling me about the book, and he told me about how he was able to score a good one at a good price, and this is when I went down to a con with him down in California, and it was on the way up there and on the way back we were talking about this book. So when I got back home, I went to my LCS where I picked up books before, and the guy says, "Hey, I picked up a Secret Wars #8, okay? So when I went back to the store to pick up some more books, he says, I got a book for you. He says, you're not going to believe what I got for you." And I said, "What, another Secret Wars #8? That's cool." He says, No. He says, "Did you already, empty your bladder kind of thing?" Because he goes, "I think you're going to flip your lid." And he pulled out this book. And I was like, literally, I was able to speak, but at the same time, I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" And he's like, "Hey, look," he says, "I haven't put this out yet. I want to give you first crack at it." And I said, "Well, how much? First let's figure out how much, And he told me the price, and I was like, "Yeah, that's not bad. I just don't have that kind of money on me right now, So he says, "Well, I'll let you make payments, whatever you want to do." He says, "But if you want it, it's yours. Put it in the back. No one will ever see it. You can come and visit with it whenever you want, and then once you pay it off, it's yours." I was like, "Oh man, you gotta be kidding me," So that's how I acquired this book, and it was just amazing that my brother was talking to me about this book, and then when I got back, this is what was waiting for me. So I figured that was fate, and there was no way I was going to let this book get out of my hands. And I do have a second copy on hold, and it was kind of the same thing. I came back in the store, and he says, I got another thing for you," and I said, "What is it?" And he showed me, "Oh crap, here we go again," And that one's a little bit more than this, but still, they're letting me make payments on it. But this book means a lot to me because it just seems so odd that my brother would be talking to me about this book, and when I get back, I got it. So whenever I look at this book, I remember that time I spent with my brother, because I get to see my brother whenever I go down there, or if he's able to come up here, but we're always just so busy. So this always reminds me of that trip that I took down to California. My brother talked to me about this book, and I was like, "Oh man, I'd love to be able to get one someday," So yeah, this book means a lot to me. Like I said, I'm not showing this because it's got a grade and all that stuff. No, I'm showing this book because, to me, this just epitomizes my collecting of comics. This was my very first book I ever got. Paid $16 and 50 cents for this. And I had a thing about payments because he let me make payments on it. But this book means a lot to me because it was the very first book that I ever got. It was the very first book to go along with this one, and this is my 5th book, by the way, I'm going to show, that I had Stan Lee signed. So this was the first time I ever got to meet Stan Lee. And for me, it was amazing, because after I went to my very first little small con, and I met Randy, I found out later that Stan Lee was going to be at this Comic-Con. I called my brother up, and that was the first con that me and my brother ever went to, and my brother helped me figure out to grab this book and to grab this book that I had, and I've had this book, I bought it off the shelf when it came out, and this came out back in, let's see here, it should say the date. I'll figure it out in a few minutes, but for me, to meet Stan Lee for the first time, have him sign these 2 books, and my brother helped me, pull these out of my collection, because I hadn't looked at my collection in a long time. It meant a lot, because this just reminds me of how much my brother always looked out for me, always, was there for me when I was a kid, and being the older brother, having to deal with me trying to hang around him all the time, and the fact that, it's the first time I met Stan Lee. And I was nervous. I was, because I'm thinking, man, this is big time for me, because I knew who Stan Lee was, and I just didn't know what books to have him sign. My brother was like, "Well, hey, if you're paying that much, sorry, here goes the price, right? If you're paying that much, you might want to do it on something that's a little bit more a little valuable. Don't just put it on anything, And that was just, like I said, my brother looking out for me. But like I said, for me, these mean a lot, because this was the first actual real Comic-Con I went to with my brother ever. First time meeting Stan Lee, and to go up and talk to Stan Lee too was really cool. like I said, I was kind of nervous, and I handed the books, and he goes, "Oh, I remember this cover, I remember that cover." I'm like, "Oh, cool," And I said, "I just wanted to thank you, Stanley, for the years that you've put in to this industry, to writing the stories, to coming up with characters that I got to grow up and love, as a kid, and to inspire me to want to read, one, and then two, the artist that he had to get me to want to draw." Excuse me. And also, before I was about to walk away from his table, because it's pretty busy line, I said, "Hey, just want to say I liked your last cameo you did, in the movie." And I want to say that movie was, oh man, let me remember here, because it was before Thor. It was before Avengers. Gosh, which one was it? But anyways, I just basically told him, I was like, "Hey, I really liked the cameo that you did, and it was pretty funny." And I got him to laugh a little bit, and he goes, "Well, hey, if you like that cameo, wait till you see the cameo that I just did for the Avengers." And he goes, "I think you're gonna like that one the best," he says, "because I had 2 parts." And I was like, "Okay, cool," And so I walk away. I was thinking, hopefully, I said the right thing, but I got him to laugh, and that was cool. And then I went and told my brother, and I was like, "Oh, dude, why didn't I think of that?" So it's kind of funny, It's like that whole experience was great because I got to spend it with my brother, and we were just like kids all over again, But this time we actually liked hanging out, together. So these books I just showed, they really do. They have a big place in my heart because anytime I look at them, I have those memories right in my head, and I don't think I'll ever lose them. As long as I have these books, I won't ever lose them. I mean, I shouldn't lose them, but when you get older, you start to forget things. But the one thing I'll never sell is that print. That's just one of a kind for me. And I forgot to go over the rules. So to be able to enter this contest, you definitely have to be 18. You have to be subbed to his channel. And he wants you to link it to his contest video, so that way he can find it a lot easier. Or he said you can link it to his Instagram. I think that's what he was saying too. But again, Howlermouse, hey man, thank you for being part of this community as long as you have. I hope you stick around for even more years to come, because really your channel, I learn a lot from your channel. I love to hear you talk about your books. I love to hear you talking about stories that I have never read before, because then it just piques my interest to want to go find that book, or to find something close to it enough to where I can say, oh, and just for all that you do for the community, Howlermouse, thank you. And thank you for subbing up my channel and supporting my channel since day one. I really appreciate that. And this is Tack Comics saying, rock on, Howlermouse, keep it going, man. Seriously, I consider you to be one of the forefront pillars of this community. And I think a lot of people agree with me on that. And man, I love what you do, bro. And this is all for support, man. All for support. Because I've been saying, I keep rambling on, but I don't care. You've always supported me, and if this is a way I can pay it back to you, brother, that's what I want to do. And I hope everybody's enjoying the day today. I got to do some things, so there's no way I wasn't going to shoot this video today, because I really wanted to get this out to you, Howlermouse, and to thank you for always being there for my channel, and for just giving your your knowledge and your history on books, and your stories. Love your stories, man. So, that being said, this is Tack Comics saying, rock on, go check out Howlermouse. If you're not subbed to him, go check out his channel, and you won't regret it. Trust me, this man's got it down, and he's cool. He's cool, and he's always interacting with his chats, too, and does live streams, so, okay, I'm going on again, right? But anyways, Howlermouse, brother, cheers, man. Cheers. To many more years, brother. Rock on.